Hey everyone. Since last video there has been quite many features have been released in VitoDeploy, and today I'm gonna show you a couple of them, not just deep demo, just very quick demo of what are the new stuff in VitoDeploy. So let's go. The first thing is backups. So we moved the backups from database to server level backups because now you can back up your websites. So you could already back up your databases into the storage providers you had, but now you're also able to back up files and folders. So this is how it works. You just create a new backup, select file backup, and then enter the path of the backup. Okay, it can be a file or it can be a directory, and select your storage provider and then select an interval and how many backups you want to keep, and you just create it. And the backup will be created. You can see the files here, and then you can even restore any of them to any path. So if this is a backup of this website stored in S3 driver, you can restore this to another path, right? You can create a new website, another address, and just restore it there. That's how it works. Very simple and efficient. You can now back up your websites, your files, folders, anything you want in your server. So that was the first thing. Next is server logs are a bit improved in terms of how you can access them. So there is a little button here, logs. You can open it by clicking on it, and you can even press Ctrl+Shift+L and open the logs and navigate even with your keyboard like this. And you can open any of them, which will show you quickly what is the log content says. You can load more logs just like this. So you're doing something like here, you want to see the logs, you just open the logs and see what is happening. Very quick. Another thing is, another button here next to the logs is the terminal. So we had a console, headless console here, just is the same thing, just move to the server layout itself to be accessed even quickly, right? You can click on it, console will be open. It is still headless console. We don't have sockets on VitoDeploy because it's a self-hosted, and we try to have it as light as possible. But maybe in the future we will have sockets, and then we will implement a live terminal. But this just works, you know, you can just use it. So you can open it with Ctrl+Shift+K, you can maximize the size, and you can just run commands just like this. You can ping, as you can see, it will just run until I stop it with Ctrl+C, and you can even start a new session, and that's it. You can even change the user just like the console, but this one is way more accessible, right? Anytime you can open it and run something, and that's it. So what else we added? We moved some stuff to a new section called admin area, so to just separate some stuff from the settings. So if you go to admin area, the users are here. You can manage, if you are the admin of the Vito instance, you can manage the users of the Vito instance. You can manage plugins and Vito settings, which are export and import. And the next thing is obviously plugins. The plugins have been improved massively. So just look at the plugins. You can now find more community plugins. You can install any official or community plugins. the plugins that are discovered in your Vito instance, you can just upload the plugins there, and you can just, install them from the discovered section. And there are plugins, you can enable or disable a plugin. If a plugin fails to be enabled, you can see the logs, right? Every plugin has its own logs. And yeah, this time you can even update the plugins. They work with GitHub releases, and they are just awesome. And last thing, I had a note here. Yes. So actually two things. One is the service config files. So if you go to any service, you go to the service, go to any server and then services, you can now update the configuration file of each service. So each service by default has some configuration. Some of them have, some of them not. For example, Nginx has this default nginx.conf that you can edit it with VitoDeploy. It just loads it for you and you can edit the config file. Or for Redis, there is this obviously redis.conf. You can also edit that. And supervisor, it has supervisord.conf, and MySQL obviously my.conf. There is. And you can also develop your own plugin and add a new service, right? So when you are adding a new service, you can simply register their own config files here as well. So if you look for the register service, you can see you can register a new config path, and here is, for example, the nginx.conf. And that was it. But lastly, there is one final update on, actually there are a lot of updates, but just these are the most highlighted ones. So if you go to API keys and documentations, you can find the new documentation that we added. So the new one is Scramble. We were using Scribe. It was generating a lot of files, but Scramble just works out of the box. It just checks your HTTP requests and resources, and it generates the docs, which is amazing. Right now you can find it out here on docs/API, and everything is there. So that was it. Many big stuff coming to VitoDeploy, good stuff, and make sure to follow us on Twitter and stay tuned. See you in the next one.